Hello and welcome to our show. This is Analytic Energy Agency. Today we are again with our English language broadcast, and I think it's going to be the last one in this season, at least until September, because next week I'm going for vacation, and then in July normally we don't have any events. Of course, this world is very unpredictable right now, and probably something will happen. And if it happens, of course, I will try to to inform you, all of those followers of our channel who don't speak Russian. But let's see what will happen. And today we will start with geopolitics, of course, because geopolitics affect our industries, and it seems that the prospects are very gloomy. All of you know what happened the other day when it was some talks in Istanbul between Russia and Ukraine, and it's actually no results, no tangible results in terms of completing the war somehow. The positions are far apart from each other. The gap is very wide, and it's very difficult to imagine how it could be closed. Also, yesterday we saw the telephone calls between President Putin and President Trump. And during this discussion, President Putin said that he would have to respond to those attacks of Ukrainians on Russian air bases, strategic air bases, and nuclear, this planes which actually carry nuclear weapons, or capable carry nuclear weapons, and also those blasts on railroads where this passenger train was collapsed, and there are some tolls of dead people, and of course all of that is very difficult, and of course it seems that we don't see any close way out from the situation of this conflict between Russia and Ukraine. The reasons of this conflict, I don't want to get into details and delve into that. I already told that once a time in our broadcasts. There are reasons. What I put it just straight. There are some reasons for that, and so who is right, who is wrong? It's not my field of expertise. So let's talk about electricity sectors. If we just look at the trends and the tendencies of what is prevailing on Kazakhstani and Russian market, they are actually the same. In Kazakhstan, if we just look at this picture as a whole, they are just continue talking about everything is going fine. We're going to build like 1, 2, 3 nuclear power plants very soon. Also, we're going to renovate our thermal power stations, those CHP, combined heat and power stations. So we have a lot of plans, but what they don't do, they don't follow the consequences, which are very dire because of the situation with the prices. The tariffs or rates, whatever you call it, the prices for electricity, they're growing very rapidly, and if you compare the prices, for instance, in the fall of 2024 last year, and today prices, they increased on the wholesale level for about 50%, 1.5 times at least. Now, if you just look at the prices in April, for instance, there are some prices, there are no prices less than 20-25 tenge. They are at every hour, but sometimes they exceed even 100 tenge, which is, when divide by 5, and you get roughly by 5, and so you will get this in rubles, and then you just also divide by 100 and you will get it in dollars or euro. So the prices are high there. They're increasing very rapidly. Of course, the government tries to manage everything manually and tries to cross-subsidize these households and some businesses through the so-called, as they call it, supply companies, which are now only those network companies, because they have liquidated and the retail supply companies, which were present there since 2004, I guess. So there are no competition at all on the retail level, because in every region they have just one. How they call it, distribution network company, or REC in Russian. And they have like a department, which just issue the bills for electricity. So there are no division between bundling between the businesses of retail sale and retail delivering to distribution sector in terms of delivering through the network companies, delivering electricity. That's how it goes, and it seems they continue to, as I said, to say everything is fine. The government just manage everything very just on the tips of their fingers, I would call it. But for wholesale companies like and those which are appointed, designated by the system operator there, and they are above 1 megawatt of capacity, the situation is very dire, because they have to purchase electricity for additional prices in terms of because those prices are they're cross-subsidized for those prices for these distribution companies, which provides electricity to households and some smaller businesses and those non-commercial sector, like budget sector, like healthcare or some governmental bodies and that kind of enterprises. And the thing is, within those distribution companies also there is cross subsidies, because, for instance, in Almaty region, which is former capital, the second largest city of the country and former capital of the country, Kazakhstan, the prices for budget for those governmental bodies for healthcare and so on, they exceed 100 tenge. It's 110 tenge, again divided by 5 or by 500, and you will get it in rubles, in US dollars. So it's very high price. It's more than 20 cents per kilowatt hour. So it's very high for Kazakhstan. They already look like those European prices, close to those German prices, with all those the differences between Kazakhstan and Germany, for instance. That's a point. That's what is happening in Kazakhstan. But it's the same time, if we look at the situation in Russia, it's very similar in terms of uncertainties, because in both Kazakhstan and Russia, there are challenges to renovate the industry, which was built back in the Soviet Union times. But comparing to Kazakhstan, Russia is under sanctions, under all those restrictions, because of those geopolitics, and all those things which were already discussed many times. And of course, very high inflation, and this central bank rate is 21%. It's still there, so they're very expensive loans. So everything is stalemate. Actually, in terms of starting the process of renovation of the industry. And the same situation in Kazakhstan, by the way, that I didn't mention, because in Kazakhstan they proclaim that they are going to renovate this year, and there is a so-called national project, part of national plan, to renovate the industry within the next 5 years, since starting this year and up to 2029. But they announced that very loudly in December of last year, but it seems it didn't even start because the situation is unclear. The procedures are not prepared well, not well prepared, and they're not elaborated. All those, we have some video on that. Because we criticized that approach because it was very complicated, very this kind of confusing for all those participants, potential participants of that process. But so it didn't start. Half of the year has passed already, and we see that nothing happened. Nothing is happening so far. So in these terms, situation is very similar, but also there are some differences. The differences are that Kazakhstan is, as you know, they are going to build at least one nuclear power plant, and they were, pitching the vendor, how they call that, for a long time already, for about 1 year and a half at least. And now it seems to be inclined to select a Chinese company instead of, because all those forecasts were that it will be Rosatom, a Russian producer of those nuclear power plants, builder, and it's very well known. But they inclined to choose Chinese company, which is called CNNC. It's a Chinese national nuclear company. It's a the state company. Why? Because it seems that they gave a better price. At least there are some rumors on that. For 2 reactors, with capacity of 2.4 gigawatts total capacity, they proposed. I think it was $5.5 billion, and Russian the same capacity. The Russian reactors, 2 reactors, they cost about from 10 to 15. Of course, price is 2 times less, and if it's so, of course, it's an obvious choice. But the thing is that China is not so famous in terms of constructions outside of the country. But nevertheless, it seems to us, it seems to me at least, that it displaced Russia in this race. And the Kazakhstani government said that it will announce the results of this, this pitch, or whatever they call it, competition, in June already. So we will know very soon. Another reason for that also, I think it's kind of geopolitical, because thing is they are worried. I mean, Kazakhstani government, it's worried about another project of 3 thermal heat and power, combined heat and power stations, which were designated to be built in 3 regions. It was Kokshetau, it was Semey, and Uсть-Kamenogorsk. This contract was struck back in, I think, yes, back in 2023, in fall of 2023, November, something like that. And at that time, Russian company Interau, which is the company, the biggest, largest Russian state-owned company, and it's actually export-import operator also, and the largest energy company, even generation company. They promised to build 3 power stations there, and the total amount of money they have to invest was about up to $3 billion. There are 3 stations. It's about from 300 to from 250 or 300 megawatts each of electrical capacity, plus heat capacity there. But the thing is that Kazakhstan, is this kind of for inclined also to get some kind of cheap financing from Russia, and so that was because the actually conditions of that deal was not disclosed. But I think it's obvious that Kazakhstan is not going to pay for those power stations, and they were. It's interesting that they were coal-fired, of course, stations, which are not very popular right now across the world, and no one is going to finance that kind of power stations, and only Russia agreed to finance that and to build that. But the thing is that now it's obvious that Russia has some troubles to finance because, as I said before, there are troubles to finance its own production. Also, we mentioned, I think last time also, that all this power machinery capacities in Russia, power machinery production capacities of the Russian plants, they are very scarce, and all orders are already made, and it's those plants are full of orders, and there are delays even in Russian projects, and it was like 14 projects were delayed for Russian plants, power plants, thermal power plants modernization. And that, of course, affects this deal as well, this contract as well, and therefore, some observers, they say that the solution for nuclear power plant and for those 3 power stations are intertwined, and they are interrelated. Therefore, actually, Kazakhstan is choosing China instead of Russia for nuclear power plant, and Russia, of course, said that in that case we are not financing this project. The substitution of Russia in this case can be just only China, because no one else financing and have expertise. No one else has expertise to build that kind of stations and power. China is, we know that they are good at building those coal-fired power plants on supercritical parameters. But the thing is, here we're talking about combined hidden power plants, which is a little bit different. It's not only electricity production, but it's very important there, the volume of heat production. And in that field, in that terms, Russia, I think, is more experienced provider of that kind of technologies. And so it's very complicated things, but it's also, it's kind of geopolitics here. We can see that, Kazakhstan is trying to multi-vectoring, as it usually does in politics, with Russia, between China. Also, we mentioned last time that European Union was very active since recently, and Britain is very active for many, many years there. And in current environment, current geopolitical situation, it's all that is very confusing and complicated. That is what is going on in Russia and Kazakhstan right now. We will see what will happen, but of course, everything depends a lot on how the conflict between Russia and Ukraine will be resolved, and it depends on so many factors, so it's difficult to predict anything. Thank you for attention. I hope it time to time it's interesting for you. We will see if we resume our production after vacation. I think it's going to be close to mid of August or something like that, because we don't see any much response from our followers, from our viewers, and it's difficult to predict what will happen and how useful all our broadcasts are. Thank you for watching. Please comment. Please leave your comments also, and just communicate with us somehow. Thank you, and have a good day.